Listen, Patrick Mahomes now has a new weapon in Hollywood Brown to help bolster a unit that led the league in drops last season.
Chris Jones has agreed to a 5-year contract to stay in Kansas City. $95 million guaranteed. The most for any defensive tackle in NFL history.
Mahomes, meanwhile, is restructuring his contract to open up about $21.5 million in cap space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to celebrate tonight. I'm going to celebrate at the parade, and then I'm going to do whatever I can to be back in this game next year and trying to go for that three-peat.
The Kansas City Chiefs are primed for a repeat. This offseason has included 3 big moves so far, and we have not made it to the draft yet. First, you have Patrick Mahomes restructuring his contract to allow more flexibility in the front office. You re-sign, in my opinion, the second most important player on your team in Chris Jones, and now you sign Hollywood Brown to a contract that I believe is super team friendly. Let's go over that and much more in this video, but before we get into that, make sure that you guys like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. We're on the way to 2K. Help a brother out, hit that like and sub button, and now with that, let's get into this video. As we all know, the Kansas City Chiefs are chasing greatness, something that has not been done since the 1965 to 1967 Packers, which is something that has never been done in the Super Bowl ever, a three-peat. Many last year, hell, me included, did not believe the Chiefs could win it all with so many drops on offense. The Chiefs ended the season with 2.6 drops per game, which cost them a lot last season. They finished with a league high 44 drops, and it's one thing to have drops, but they had key drops. Remember that Van Der Scantling drop against the Eagles? Well, I do too. Remember that pick 6 against the Lions? Yeah, I remember that too. The NFL needs a new stat called receiver error or something. You can keep interceptions in, but anytime a player has a drop and it goes back for a touchdown or it's an interception or something like that, we need to introduce a new stat so we can keep up with who all's doing that. But anyways, even with that being the case, they still win 11-6, not because the offense all of a sudden became amazing, but because the defense was outstanding. In the regular season this past year, they only allowed more than 20 points in a game 3 times. That sounds like greatness to me. So signing Chris Jones to a $158 million contract was an easy decision to make. He more than proved himself in key moments. On top of that, he had yet another 10-sack season, but I think the most important thing throughout this entire conversation when it comes to Chris Jones is the fact that he has 217 QB pressures since 2021, which ranks first among all D linemen. And I think a lot of people don't really take that into account. Sometimes it's not about if you can actually get the QB on the ground. Sometimes it's about altering what their quarterback is doing, making them uncomfortable, making it as hard as you can on said quarterback. But I will say this though about the Kansas City Chiefs, they did have to franchise tag Snead. He may be traded in the near future. By this time next year, he may not even be a Kansas City Chief anymore. So with that being said, re-signing him will be fantastic, but if you do have to trade him after a good season, he should bring decent value in return. So I think they will be fine in this regard either way it plays out. You still have Trent McDuffie, who is only going to get better, and they re-signed Drew Tranquil, so I believe the defense will be just fine, even if it's not as good as it was last year. I believe Patrick Mahomes will be even better next year by his standards, and when I say this, I'm talking simply about his standards alone. This was somewhat of a down year. He threw for 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Some of those INTs were a part of the wide receiver error, but let's continue. Patrick Mahomes had a passer rating of 92.6, which is only the 3rd time his passer rating was below 100. The first time was his rookie year where Alex Smith was actually the guy in Kansas City. The next time his passer rating was lower than 100, it was at a 98.5, which in grade school we used to round those up to 100 if the teacher liked you. You know what I'm talking about. But The guy is just that damn good that we have to compare these numbers in such a minute fashion. Anyways, one of the main reasons he had less than a Mahomes but great by anybody else standards type of a season was because of the playmakers around him. Guys weren't getting the job done. However, I will say that they did have one bright spot on offense this season with the emergence of Rashee Rice. And of course, Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. The Chiefs now add a guy who, in my opinion, is a lot better than people would give him credit for. Hollywood Brown recorded a 1,000-yard season in his last year with the Ravens. Since going over to the Cardinals, he has recorded a 709 receiving yard season as well as a 574-yard season. But when he went to go play for his college QB in Kyler Murray, no one saw him tearing his ACL. That would hurt his total numbers, but looking at his average per catch, it is still in the 10-yard range or so, which is nearly the same as his 1,000-yard season, which was around 11 or so. He is only 26 years old. He is fast, and reportedly he ran a 4.27 at his pro day at Oklahoma, one of the best at taking a top off of a defense, being a true and legit deep ball threat, which is one of the reasons why they brought him in. He will spread the field out more so more people can operate, like Kelce and Rashee Rice. And you know what's more important than just raw speed is the fact that the man can catch the football. So if you are a Kansas City fan, this should be fantastic news for you. If the defense can stay the same on top of an offense that should be improved, the Kansas City Chiefs have an unlimited amount of range in what they can do in the draft now. You can go and get a wide receiver, pick up a guy like Lad McConkey or Xavier Worthy. If you want to go defense, there are guys like Ennis Jr. or Chris Drain that may fall from a very good Missouri defense. Long story short, there are plenty of options for the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to improving the roster through the draft. If this roster can stay healthy with the game on the line, is there anyone who is going to bet against Patrick Mahomes? And let's not forget about Andy Reid. The man is an offensive genius. Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive mastermind. So with both of these coaches who have been in the organization for a while now, there's a lot of stability there. You don't have a situation where a coach here, a coordinator here leaves because of the success that the team has had, and then you have all these players trying to learn a new system. There's plenty of stability here, and there's a realistic chance that the Kansas City Chiefs just might three-peat. But what do I know? I'm just a guy behind a computer screen who yells at my favorite team when they're on TV if they're not winning, fixing myself a crown and coke to calm my nerves. So I'm just like most of you, and that's why you should subscribe to the channel, because this is a community of football loving normal people. And with that, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe once again. I'll see you guys on the next go around.